Okay, cool. Oh, and I got a pair of crayons up here. No, not yet. Okay, so can everyone hear me well? Yeah? Okay? Yeah? Okay, cool. So I'm Hannah Durkee, and this is Taylor Mckee. I'm really good at this so far, huh? Okay, and I'm a junior in high school at La Quinta, and he's a sophomore. I know, he looks like a senior. Sorry, ladies, but yeah. And so we're doing the second week of all the tag team series, and I'm so glad that all of you guys can come out here. It's really weird speaking with a microphone. I don't know, so I guess that's all I'm thinking about right now. So I'd just like to get started real quick. So for those that might not know me too well, you might not have known that I actually lived in Missouri for a few years, and I have a kind of funny story about what will kind of lead us into what we're talking about today. So I lived in Missouri, and when we got there, I was like 3, something like that. And like there's this big house, like we just got it, it's big, there's a basement, like it was all like my sister and I could just run around in there, it's so fun. And then right outside there, there's just like a yard, and it was just like, it would go on forever. And right beyond that was another yard for our neighbors where there was a big white horse, and his name was Ben. He was about 25 years old, which is pretty old for a horse, and man, he was like the best. And so every other day we would get to go and feed him, and my mom would give us like snacks to feed him. Some days it would be an apple, other days it would be a carrot, but that day it was a sugar cube, and oh my goodness, that was the best day. And for those who know me, you know that I have a sweet tooth, like hardcore, right? Yeah, and I did then too. And so my mom gave my sister 1 sugar cube and me 1 sugar cube, and so it's about a 50-foot, journey, hardcore for a 3-year-old, to go see this horse. And I have it in my hand, she has hers, and we're, walking, and this walk just seems like it's going on forever. And, of course, when you're 3, you get very hungry from all these different walks, and, like, it's very strenuous. And so about halfway there, somehow my sugar cube went missing. There's varying stories. Okay. There's varying stories about how that went down, but maybe I ate it. I'm not sure. So basically, I ate the sugar cube, and of course, as we're walking down there, I'm still expecting my sister to give me hers, right, to feed the horse so that I'd be the horse's favorite. Yeah? That makes sense, right? No. Okay. So we're walking there, we get to the horse, and I'm like, Cassie, can I have your sugar cube to feed the horse? Well, obviously, an 8-year-old sister's gonna be like, no, like you ate yours, sorry, not sorry, So we both had 2 different agendas on that. So my sister's like, no, Hannah, sorry, this is my sugar cube. The horse is gonna like me more than you because you ate yours. And so I'm like, well, whoa, what are you saying to me? And so I start throwing, the stamping the foot, the crying. And then, it's the worst. Honestly, I'm like the instigator in the family. I'm sorry. Like, I'll admit it. And then I pulled out the words that every sibling hates to hear, and it's, I'm telling mom. And so I pulled out those words, and so I yelled at her and, like, go running off. I'm, like, 2 feet tall. I don't know. And so, like, I'm making that 50-foot journey back home all by myself. And so then I'm, like, stomping away, and I get stuck in a bush, and, like, my foot gets tangled up in a bush. And now I'm stuck there halfway between the horse and the house, so my mom can't hear me yell for her, and my sister's there watching me, like, what are you going to do, huh? Like, so I'm stuck there, and I'm like, oh, man. So I had to take my 3-year-old pride, put it aside, turn back around to my sister and say, Cassie, let me out of this bush, please, so that I can go tell on you to my mom, like, who would do that? No, I'm letting you stay in that bush, So I guess that's just an example of how conflict can be kind of funny. I'm sure you guys have similar stories, maybe not just like that, but of your siblings, just stuff that you just fight over, like dumb stuff, But conflict also has a whole nother side to it. It's definitely a very serious topic. Conflict I'm sure you guys have all had friends that you're not friends with anymore because of it. Families have been divided because of it. You know, you even see on the news there's two countries that, you know, aren't allies anymore. There's all that stuff going on, and people are dying because of conflict. You know, there's big consequences for it. So I definitely want to see there's two sides to conflict, but basically in the end, we're all interested in it, you know? Like, why else would we watch the news? It's interesting, and it's like, oh, wow, there's a lot of big stuff going on around us. So conflict really does surround all of our life.
So, first of all, if I pass out because I'm super nervous, just call Pastor Craig. And if I go to the hospital, just send the bill to him because he's the one that volunteered me to be up here. So, now that we got that out of the way, I think he's watching, so that's why I said that. Um, I've been homeschooled my entire life up until this year. I'm a sophomore at LQ. And like the first day we were there, or I was there, I saw a fight at school. Oh, I didn't see it. But there was a fight, and you know, being a homeschooler and not ever seeing that, I was very interested in what was going on. So, you know, one of my friends was, everyone started freaking out. I was curious, didn't know what was going on. And one of my friends said, "Oh man, there's a fight. Let's go see what's going on. Let's go over there." My first thought was, WWCND. What would Chuck Norris do? So I ran over there trying to see it. I didn't get to see the fight. Little disappointed, but you know, I shouldn't be, but I was. And you know, we're all intrigued by fights. You know, I saw a video that someone had taken, and he ended up getting in trouble. I don't know where they took him, probably the office. You know, haven't seen him since. So, you know, you might want to pray for him. I don't know, but you know, I've the only real fights I've ever seen are in movies, and we all are intrigued by the idea of fighting. My favorite movie is Rocky 3. My favorite video game is Modern Warfare 2. I've played that forever since it came out. Um, I've watched Rocky, like all 6 movies, like 10 times, you know, and we're all intrigued by the idea of fighting. It's just interesting. You might say, you know, oh, I don't like fighting. It's bad for your emotional health. It is, really, but at the end, we're all intrigued. It all interests us. When someone says, "Oh, hey, man, there was a fight at school today." "Oh, what was it about?" You know, you start asking questions. You want to get to the bottom of it. And it's not something you can really explain. It's just one of those things that's a part of all of us. You see it, like I said, movies, video games, politics. Um, Biggest thing when I think of fights or battles is war. If you've heard of World War I or II or the Cold War or Vietnam War, you know. And one of the things is there are no winners. When there's conflict or there's a fight or there's a battle or a war, there are no winners. Both sides lose. Because you can say, I won the battle, but you didn't really win. Because at the end of the day, you've spent millions of dollars. You know, if you're going to war with like Iraq, you spent millions of dollars, you've lost lots of lives. Your nation or country is just destroyed, all just to prove a point. So you don't really get anything out of it. I don't know what happens to kids that get in fights at school. I mean, I assume you get suspended or you go to the principal's office, something like that. Scariest thing is going home to your parents and having to deal with them. I haven't had to do that yet because I haven't been in a fight. So hopefully that doesn't ever happen. But the only thing conflict gets us is broken relationships. And the question I have that I've had for a while, I haven't been able to find an answer for it, but it's why do we fight? Why do we like the idea of fighting? And why can't we seem to just stop all the violence around us?
Luckily for us, the Bible has something to say about this. James, Jesus' brother, says in chapter 4, 7 through 10, I'm not sure if we have a slide for it or not, but submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Come near to God, and he will come near to you. Wash your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. Grieve, mourn, and wail. Change your laughter to mourning and your joy to gloom. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up. I just want to highlight in this that there's definitely two sides to this whole entire idea. There's obviously the pathway that you can take, which is kind of like the world pathway. It's pride is the pathway to conflict and all of the stuff that we've went over. Or there's an option that God's planned for us or designed for us, and that's how humility. Humility is the pathway to peace, and you definitely can't be traveling on both pathways at the same time. You can't be here and there at the same time. You have to choose which one you're going to pick. And, Jesus was definitely on this pathway, humility. And he really exemplified for us how we should be acting in that way. It also says about how grieve, mourn, and wail. Change your laughter to mourning and your joy to gloom. I know I'm kind of thinking, really? You want me to be sad? I don't want to be sad. I'm sure you never want to be sad. Wailing and crying isn't any fun. But it's actually saying you need to be sad about your actions. On this path to conflict and stuff, it's not really funny. I know we see these Vine mixes and all that different stuff of fights at our school and World Star, and we're laughing. We're dude, he got so beat up, But there are really actually severe consequences to all of this, and it doesn't make him happy, He's not looking down at it and laughing at World Star, And so I guess it's just saying you really have to recognize that these decisions aren't okay, And I know that's not fun to do, It's no, it's fun to laugh, but people's lives are being affected because of this. There's in our local news, there's a kid that he got hit in the head, by a water bottle or something like that, and it hit him really hard, and now he has permanent brain damage for the rest of his life, and he can't go to the college that he was going to go to. And there's actual consequences that are happening around us in this valley because everyone's choosing this pathway of pride and all of that, this pathway, instead of going on the one that was designed for us for humility. And I guess that's basically what I really wanted to make clear. But some of you might be going well, what exactly is humility, And humility is how we show repentance, and it can really begin to change our heart. And this peace isn't just with God and others, it's also with yourself. And so once you reach for humility, obviously we're never going to get there. The moment you say you're humble, you're no, you're not humble because you just said you're humble, But we're always trying to reach for it. But this humility is also meant for yourself and with God and the peace, So I just like to leave you guys with that while Taylor wraps it up.
There we go. So, what would happen, and not saying, this is easy or you're going to have to go home and practice this or do it, but what would happen if you got off pride's pathway and got on the pathway of humility? It's hard, and, you can't just, like Hannah said, you can't arrive at being humble. I was watching a movie the other day, and this person said, yeah, that song, it's named Humble or something like that. Yeah, that song just really relates to me because I'm the most humble person that I know. And so, yeah, that right there just tells me you're not humble. So, humility is an unattainable goal. And, yeah, you can't ever achieve it, but you can set it as a goal or an expectation for yourself so you can practice and progress to be able to learn and have that ability to really be humble, to not let your pride get in the way. I mean, it's a hard thing to do. I fight with my brothers all the time. Even though it would be better not to fight with them, I still do. And it's just the nature of the beast. And I've got to practice. Everyone has to practice with something, whether it be sports or what we're talking about. You always have to practice. So, what is humility? It's not insecurity. It's not just giving in, losing every battle, being a floor mat and letting everyone kick you around. It's putting other people before yourself. And that means you have to lose some battles, but not all of them, because the humble person still has an opinion. You still have to be willing to stand up for what's right, but you have to do it in such a way that you can, I've said this a lot, but be humble. And I just keep saying the same thing. But if you want to be that way, if you want to set that as a goal or an expectation for yourself, you could look to Jesus. I don't know. He seems to be the perfect example of humility. One of the stories that is a perfect example right now, the only one I can think of, and really the only one I need, is when he washed his servant's feet. He didn't have to do that, but he wanted to so he could be an example. Be an example for his disciples and people around him so they know that everything isn't about you. It's about the person across from you, the person next to you, the person you're talking to, or the person you live with. It's about everyone else except you. And you don't have to completely forget everything. You don't have to completely put yourself aside, but you have to put other people first in order to achieve humility and humbleness. Even though you still can't achieve it, you have to work your way towards it. So, one thing you can do is serve. You don't have to change the world and end world hunger. If you can, then that'd be great. Go ahead and do it. But if you can't, because I'm pretty sure only Jesus can, and I don't think you're Jesus. But if you have the ability to make someone's day just a little bit better by, maybe you have 50 cents in your wallet. Just give them 50 cents. Like, hey, dude, what's up? I got 50 cents. What's up? I didn't expect that to get a laugh at all. But, it doesn't have to be anything big. It can be in the future, but just start off small. Start off with inviting someone to lunch, and then being their friend, and begin to serve and help and nurture that person, and then pray. Just pray as much as you can. And I'm going to read James 4:2-5, and it's right here. Here we go. So, you want what you don't have, so you scheme and kill to get it. You are jealous of what others have, but you can't get it, so you fight and wage war to take it away from them. Yet you don't have what you want because you don't ask God for it, and and even when you ask, you don't get it because your motives are all wrong, and you want only what will give you pleasure. The last thing is, if you're going to ask God for something, like it said, your motives are all wrong. Ask God for something so you can help someone else, not so it benefits you. A lot of people, everyone says they want to help other people, and it's easier said than done when it comes to putting yourself first. Everything is easier said than done. But if you can do it, then it'll make a huge impact in your life and others as well. So when it comes to fighting or arguing or the littlest of things, don't fight others. Turn the battle inside yourself, and fight your own pride.
Okay. What would happen in our community if we all decided to take this pathway that Jesus has exemplified for us? What if we all decided to try to reach for humility and just really strive to do that in our everyday lives? What would our schools look like, or even our youth group? Like, when new people walk through this door, would they feel welcomed, or would they feel like they're not as important as you are? Because honestly, we just want to be putting others before ourselves, and so when we see new people walk through those doors, I really hope that we can make a whole new revival in this youth group where we see a new person, we're like, that person's on the top of our list, that's our number one priority, and that's who we want to see next week, and that's who we want to make them have the best time possible. In our schools, I know I do this all the time, so people will ask oh, Hannah, do you have a pencil? And I look down in my bag and I have 5, and I'm like, no, because it's such a bad pet peeve of mine. I'm like, you're not going to give it back, and so I know that's something I need to work on where, you're using that, it sounds really funny because it's just so small, but, you have to have baby steps where it's yeah, I have a pencil. I don't, why do I need 5 pencils? I don't know, I just need 1. And so it's just these baby steps, just like Taylor said. You don't need to be saving the world, it's just practicing these small little things every day, and honestly, it makes you feel better, You want somebody else to you need a pen for this test, really? You want somebody else to help you out, so why don't you try helping other people out too? And so I just really think that there can be a huge change in our valley if we all, everyone in this room, every single one of you, just really tried to start going on this path to humility and peace, with God, others, and yourself. So thank you guys so much for listening to us. I hope we didn't bore you too much. I liked doing it. So I guess we can bow our heads and pray. Jesus, thank you for giving us this opportunity to be able to speak tonight. I would just really like you to really be there with everybody in this room as we're going throughout our next few weeks at school, and just really put on our hearts to just try to follow this pathway that you've intended for us. Just really put on our hearts to follow for peace and not be tempted by all the fights and all the violence and all the conflict at our school, to not get wrapped up in that, but instead of fighting each other, be fighting for you. I just thank you again for giving us this opportunity and for this tag team sermon series. Please bless the next people that are doing this and make it even 10 times better than this. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, guys. You did a great job. That takes a lot of guts to get up here and do this, so thank you. Okay, we're going to go to our small groups now. We're going to have high schoolers in this little office here in the conference room. Middle schoolers are going to be back in Surf City. And Simone, did we tell them about worship band? Okay, so if you're interested in doing worship band, if you play an instrument or sing, or like me, I'm super good on the cowbell. So Pastor Ryan's been scouting me, and I'm like, I've got too much on my plate. You're going to have to find someone else to do the cowbell. So, if you're talented like that, see Pastor Ryan, he's around here tonight, and tell him, I can up her on that cowbell. So put me in, sub me in. So if you're interested in worship band at all, oh, he's back there on his phone. Right there. Go see him. Tell him how good you are on the cowbell. He'll be impressed. And so next week we'll see you where? And you're going to bring what? You're going to wear the t-shirt, and you're going to bring a friend. Yes. Okay, and we're going to play, listen guys, we're playing Ultimate Frisbee, and we're so legit. We've got these, what are those called? They're called pennies. Do you guys know what? Yeah, I had no idea. So bright yellow and bright red, and we'll see who wins, yellow or red. And you all have a great night, and go to your small groups. Thanks. Okay, so high school, some are in that room and some are in the conference room. If the conference room's too full, go to the other room or vice versa. Okay, high schoolers, go over to that group for the moment.